Hey guys, and welcome back to the podcast. Today I want to do something theological. I know most of the time I do cultural and political, but today I wanted to do theology and just try to nail down this one aspect that I've been confused about for a while, but I think I may have finally figured out at least my answer to it, and feel free to put down in the comments if you think I'm wrong on it. So, the old animal sacrificial system under the Jewish covenant has always seemed strange to me. It seemed more like sacrificing future for present, and I could never wrap my head around that. And what I mean by that is you would see in scriptures and texts that they were taking or required to take like a young spotless lamb or two young turtle doves, and it always seemed to me like they were sacrificing future for present in that situation. But I think I might have finally figured out why that was necessary. And some of it has to do with this right here, Jesus cleansing the temple. So the gist of the story is Jesus goes into the temple and he sees people in the temple selling animals to be sacrificed. And you might think, well, that kind of makes sense because there's, the sacrificial part is it's not being bogged down by them paying for the animals if you think God only cares about the animals being sacrificed. Like if you're just looking at it from purely logical standpoint, it's like, well, does it really matter where the animals came from? And that's where I had to use something other than logic and reason to figure out why. It's the time aspect of it. In this instance, where Jesus overturns these money changers' tables and says that, they've turned the temple into a den of robbers. Well, what does he mean by that? Well, let's say during this time and back then too, what's the one thing that is not really a finite resource? That's money. As long as you're able-bodied, you can go make more money. What is a finite resource for everybody, the rich and the poor, is your time. You cannot get that back. You have a finite amount of it. So, when Jesus walks in and sees this, he's saying, you guys have the complete wrong idea. You are supposed to be sacrificing the animal not because of the fact that it's an animal, but as the time management part of it. How long did it take you to get there to the point where you have an animal that's worth sacrificing? How much of your time did you have to give up for that? And that's a really big question. But when I noticed that, I got to see that that's the number one thing that God keeps requiring of people over and over when it comes to the sacrificial system is time. He's like that today. Sure, yeah, you're supposed to give 10% for your tithe. But let me ask you a question. What is more important? 10% of the income that you make or 10% total? So let's say you can't give 10% of your money. Can you give 10% of your time away from work? That's a really valid question. Which one is God going to be more pleased with? The 10% of your money that goes to the church or the 10% of your time going somewhere else, doing something else in ministry? I don't know the answer to that, but it seems to me like the sacrificial system was set up specifically as a time management thing. God wanted people's time more than he cared about their money. But again, feel free to correct me in the comments because I know some people will. And that's the end of this one. Thanks and have a great day.